Fish Burrard and Musqueam Nation. The Wild Salmon Circle is a group of citizens. We're not an NGO. We come from mostly BC, but all around the world, and we're drawn together by a common concern for the decline of our wild salmon. Today we're going to focus on the Norwegian fish farming companies. That's the main focus of this rally here today.
I think the biggest thing that's happened in the last 5 years is, even at home in Norway, the public, the fishing community, the science community, the government are turning against the industry. In Norway, so incestuous is the relationship between the Norwegian salmon farm industry and the government that the fisheries minister herself, the equivalent of Gail Shea, is a salmon farm owner. The finance minister is the former chairman of Cermaq, who you'll know here in Canada as Mainstream. The agriculture minister has connections with the industry. So they've clearly got a problem differentiating between the salmon industry and the government.
Please hear my words I speak today from my heart for our people. We're gathered today to mark yet another moment where we can explain to the world that we have a high level of difficulty with how Norwegian fish farm companies are operating here in Canada. I find it absolutely offensive that the Norwegian government can have national salmon fjords where they keep the fish farms out of their river system areas to protect their wild salmon runs. And yet they come here and they put a multitude of farms in and around our wild salmon rivers. I find that offensive.
Last May, I was fortunate enough to go to Norway. While touring their green fjord, I asked a friend from Norway where all the commercial fishing vessels are. He laughed at me and said that his great-grandfather was a commercial fisherman and owned a vessel. He said, but that's totally history now. At that point, I knew I was going to do everything in my power to stop the fish farms from destroying our coast like they have done in Norway.
Fish farming is really no different. They're all in pens, they're factory farms, and they have created tremendous problems for the natural world, and they are our total disconnect with the natural world. Nature over millions of years have made extremely efficient systems where every animal's waste or every plant's waste is used by something else to build something else. It's probably the most efficient food system we have, and nothing that we make will better that system. The environment, to be quite blunt about it all, is getting a shit kicking right now. In the 1980s, 1990s, many of us were much more positive what was happening out there. Right now, things have really gone downhill. This is all about politics and the belief from DFO, any fish is a good fish. Well, any job is a good job. A bigger economy is always a better economy, and it goes on and on. Greed is now ruling our governments, and not only private industries, also ruling our governments, and that is going to take it's going to make a big hit on our environment.
We turn to our government to look after things for us. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans has something called the Wild Salmon Policy. I ask you, where is this being actioned today? Where is it that they're erring on the side of caution for our wild salmon? Your wild salmon. And where did we lose sight of the value of having a plentiful supply of wild salmon? Where did we lose sight of that? To the point that we're allowing international companies to come in and lay waste to our environment.
I think people are standing up together, shoulder by shoulder, around the world in support of protecting wild salmon, and the realization that we have a choice to make. You can either have farm salmon on migration routes, or you can have healthy wild salmon stocks. And I don't think you can be greedy and have both in certain areas.
There's simply not enough fish in the world for us to eat fish every day, or maybe even every week. We've got to learn to enjoy fish, eat it seasonally, and appreciate what nature has given us.
With the decline of our wild salmon stocks, I have witnessed firsthand the effects to local ecosystems. Our grizzly bears, eagles, whales, and porpoises are all suffering from the lack of salmon in our oceans and rivers. Grizzly bears are spending less time in the rivers and more in the mountains. They're not fattening up for the winter, and their cubs are not surviving hibernation. We are going to lose this ecosystem without our wild salmon.
And by cutting down on the fish farming and leaving that 5 to 10 pounds of fish in the ocean, our grizzly bear is going to be a lot better off, our eagles are going to be a lot better off, our sea lions are going to be a lot better off, and this way we can start restoring health to the way we look upon the resource and health to the natural system, which is probably still one of the more efficient systems to make food in the world.
The value of salmon to our people. It is the very lifeblood of who we are. We have a very rich and diverse culture which is founded upon the resources that we find in our territories. It's time that we step up on the global stage as people that care about the environment, as people that put the highest value on wild salmon. And it's time that the government and the industry are told under no uncertain terms that how it is being operated today is simply unacceptable.
If you don't act right now, you're going to lose your wild salmon for everybody. So we've got a precious resource. And the young 3-year-old lady today, thank you very much for your wise words.
Save our salmon.
And I think unless we do something right now, we've lost that resource.
I want to share with you a prayer song that I've learned. Because of what it talks about is reaching to the spiritual world and our Creator to come and save us. And it talks of seeing a better future for our children. Now, isn't that what we all as parents and leaders want to do? Is create a better world, a better experience for our children. The Musqueam people will stand tall. We will not back down. We will defend our territory. We will do everything possible to ensure that the wild salmon maintains in abundance, as we have always understood them to be. Atlu